Good afternoon, fourth grade. Today we're going to continue reading about the Egyptian gods and goddesses. And we're going to read about Set. Before we get started, we have a quick write. It says, describe a time when someone had something that you wanted. How did you feel? What did you do about it? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. Our focus question for today is who is Set and what motivated him to behave the way he did in Egyptian mythology. And our standard for today is we want to look at text features and figurative language to analyze the character's words and actions in order to draw conclusions about the theme. Our vocabulary words for today are envious, and that's when you are jealous or you want something someone else has. And so this boy is envious of this girl's ice cream cone. You can see him looking at it. He wants hers instead of his. The next word is benevolent. That's when you are kind or you treat someone kindly. And so this person is being benevolent to this other person because he's helping her up. And the last word is prowl. And usually it talks about an animal. It could be a person where they move around restlessly and stealthily, like they're sneaking around trying to get a prey. So this tiger is prowling, looking for his prey or for something to eat. Go ahead and turn the page. And as we're reading in our text, we are going to collect information about three characters. Aset, Usur, Set, and then we want to know why is he envious and what's the result of his envy. Okay, how does it impact others? How does it impact him? And we're going to read the whole text, so we need to get ready to read. It says, the goddess Aset, great-granddaughter of Ra, was beautiful in every way. Humans gravitated toward her naturally. She listened to the worries, hopes, and dreams of everyone, from the richest to the slaves. She listened to those who were abused and even to their abusers, and by listening, she helped them understand their own thoughts and find their own paths to solving their troubles and fulfilling their dreams. In a sense, it was Aset's faithful and careful listening that human beings really learned to trust in the deities. She wished strength and health for all of them. She wished good life, and so she wore the tajet, a girdle with a knot at the front, and carried in one hand the ankh, a small straight key with two straight arms and a loop on top. Both the tajet and the ankh were symbols of life. In her other hand, she often had a simple wooden staff. All right, if we stop right there, this paragraph gave us a lot of information about Aset. Underline the things that I'm highlighting right now. She was beautiful in every way. She listened to the worries, hopes, and dreams of everyone. And because she listened to them, human beings learned to trust her. And so in box 1A, we would write, Aset was beautiful on the inside and out. She listened to humans and helped them solve their problems, which helped humans trust the gods. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. All right, we're going to start reading at the bottom of the page. That wooden staff was useful when she walked with her brother husband Usur in the fields. Usur lived to wander among the animals, particularly the animals that humans quickly gathered around them, and even more particularly those fat, woolly sheep with the wide-set eyes that made that little ba-ba noise Set found so pleasing. In fact, Usher was so fond of sheep, he wore ram horns on his crown. He was a benevolent God, bringing robustness to the sheep and fertility to the land. He taught humans to plow and gave them laws, turn the page, to live by, rising to become the king of Lower Egypt, and then, so popular was he, king of all Egypt. And so it was impossible for the benevolent God not to love his ever so benevolent wife Aset. He adored her. They were meant for each other. All right? And if we stop right there, we have some things we could underline about Usher. Okay, we know he loved animals, and we know he loved Aset, and we know that he was a benevolent God that taught humans to plow and gave them laws, and he became king over all Egypt. In box 1B, we would write, Usher is benevolent. He taught the people to plow and gave them laws to live by. He became their adored king of all Egypt. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for box 2. We're going to keep reading and we're going to underline details about Set. We want to describe him, who he is, and we want to know who is he envious of and why. Their brother god Set watched them gaze at each other. This Aset and Usher eavesdropping on their fond murmurings. He could smell how they changed when they approached each other. Usher grew musky like a young ram. His muscles rippled under his skin. Aset became as fragrant as the water flowers she so often picked, those blue lotuses. She grew intoxicating as though her very essence was lotus oil. Set had a sister wife of his own. What was her name? Ah, yes, Nebet-Hut. But Set didn't think about her. He couldn't even look at her. He looked instead at Aset. Turn the page. And he looked at Usher. He looked until his eyes burned as dry as the desert he prowled. Then strands of envy twisted even tighter around Set's innards. For his brother Usher fawned over Set's son Impu. Set's teeth grew grimy with disgust, and Impu, the ingrate, he responded to this attention, caring for his uncle Usher too much. He even seemed to take after him. Intolerable! It was Set the boy should love like that. So Set was glad when the boy left home to go work in the underworld Dawat. Who needed a son around? Okay, we'll stop right there because we have information about who Set is. And we know, make sure you're getting ready to underline this. We know that Set is the brother of Usher and Aset. And he has a sister wife, Nebet-Hut. And he believes that Aset is more beautiful than his wife, Nebet-Hut. In box 2A, we would write, Set is Usher's brother, and he thinks Aset is more beautiful than his own sister wife, Nebet-Hut. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 2B. 2B says, who is Set envious of, and why is he envious? And if we keep reading, we know that Set, as he's watching Usher and Aset and their love for each other, he says, his eyes are burning as he's watching them. And he also doesn't like that his son, Impu, loves Usher. And we're going to keep reading to get some more information. It says, but still Set had to watch Aset's face as she gazed at Usher. And now he looked around and noticed how humans adored his sister and his brother, and that they had chosen as their queen and king, and his top lip curled. There were so many humans by now. They just kept multiplying, and that kept Set's brother Usher as king of far too much and was loved by far too many. Sometimes a brother doesn't need a reason to be spiteful toward another brother. Set was almost sure he would have hated Usher no matter what, regardless of how Aset loved him, regardless of how his own son Impu admired him. But the way all those people loved Usher, well, that went beyond the pale. King of Egypt! Bah! Set's insides swirled like the very strongest of tempests, the lightning and thunder and shrieking winds, and in this stormy state he vowed to himself to crush Usher. All right, and so we are now ready to answer box 2. It says, who is Set envious of? And it tells us that he's envious of Usher. It says that Set's brother Usher was king of far too much, and that he was spiteful towards him. Okay? And that's because Usher got to be the king, and Set didn't get to be the king. And that's because everyone loved Usher, and they were giving him all their attention, and no one was giving any attention to Set. So in box 2, we would write, Set is envious of Usher, because everyone likes him. Usher has a beautiful wife that loves him, and Set's son Impu respects Usher more than Set. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. All right, and we are going to stop right there, and you can go ahead and go to your paragraph. It says, why is Set called the envious God? And you can use your information from boxes 1 and 2 to write your paragraph.